One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV.
Hello, everybody. This is a Friday night supplement to the podcast live stream earlier tonight, where a certain interview did not take well. So, here we are. So here's the schedule of events for this next few minutes. I am going to play the interview that was supposed to play earlier tonight on episode 74 of The Heart of a Villain. This interview with Radar it had a major glitch in it, and it didn't work out well, even though the interview was very, very good. So I'm going to be playing this interview back in its entirety right here as a separate live stream. Now, I've already edited the live stream, this interview into the audio format of the podcast, so that the people that are that subscribe to the podcast in a normal audio platform will listen to it, and they'll be none the wiser, other than a couple of little comments that I made throughout the podcast. So it's there. If you want to listen to it in its regular format on the podcast platforms, please go out and do so. If you want to check this out now, this is the live stream of this. This is the interview, just the interview. Once the interview's done, the live stream will end. And once this interview is done, then kaput. But the first 10 minutes or so, 10 or 12 minutes of the interview was the time that was played during the podcast live stream. But some of the really good stuff is in the latter part of the interview that had the glitch. It's been fixed, but I can't import that and redo the whole live stream again. So here it is. In its entirety, the awesome interview I had with Radar. Thank you guys. Anybody that's checking this out after the fact, thanks for doing so. Here it is with Radar. My guest today comes all the way from Philly. You guys out there know him by a bunch of different names. Well, probably one in particular. Some call him Bert, some call him Radar, some call him by his IG name Caps for days. But man, we all just know him as one hell of a dude. Radar, welcome to the Heart of a Villain. How you doing, bud?
Thank you. Blessed to be here. Honored. This is dope. I mean, yeah, the many names, it is true. I hear everybody calling me every single possible name. It's ridiculous. Mostly Caps, mostly Radar, but
yeah.
It is what it is. I answer to all of them.
Dude, whoa, yeah. Well, I wanted to get you on because...
Yeah, right? Hey, man.
I wanted to get you on here because you're one hell of a fascinating dude. You've got a great background story. You're busy with the family life and home. And you're constantly busy with BV too. I don't know how you do it. So let's just start.
Yeah, it's
let's just start with your journey, how it started, how you found BV, and where it took you from there.
All right. Well, so I originally followed BV. I mean, because it's been around for a while, but I was still in the Army. I was still in the Guard for PA. And I followed them, I was like, man, this is dope. Bunch of bearded dudes, tattooed and all, making a change. At the time I was still running for every damn possible cause and charity, colon cancer, breast cancer, organ tissue donor, suicide awareness. I run for autos. Got like a stack of race bids auto. And I was already on my way out, from the military. So it was just like, this was pretty cool. They actually reached out to me, and I was like, hell yeah, I'd love to be a part of this. If I'm already doing this on a small scale, why not do it on a bigger scale? Help change the stereotype and all. I think I came in about a little over 2 years ago, about the same time frame right now, actually. Sometime around March, I think is when I first came in as a hopeful, and it has been a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
I mean, for people especially who have followed me from the beginning, especially like chapter members and whatnot, people who know my whole, that just the first year alone of my journey has been a ride.
Well,
I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, go into a little bit of detail if you can. I mean, guys, because like I said, it has been a ride for you. So where exactly did you start out, as far as, and how did you find them, and bringing you to today?
Yeah,
because you used to be, you were an officer for a bit.
Yeah. So I came in as a hopeful for Pennsylvania before the split, clearly, because that just happened. Love those guys, by the way. Still talk to them. I came in for PA. Was in there for, man, I think it was almost a year or so, and then the Philly chapter opened up. So we started the Philly chapter. At the time, I was their co-cap. When the chapter started, it was only 5 of us at the time. A few hopefuls. Um, you know, shit happens. Let's leave that at that. Granted, we're all good. It's all good. It was just, it's new.
Yeah.
Shit happens, and I don't mean anything bad, but
No.
so I stepped down in a way. I also had a lot of things going on here, home back then at the time, and I just felt like it was too much. Like I was bringing too much of that at home at the time, and I was still going through a bunch of stuff at home. Long story short, I stayed chapterless for maybe about 2 months, 2, 3 months, a few months, and then I went back to PA. They welcomed me with open arms. Again, they were the first ones that brought me through this and throughout. Ended up becoming their secretary, and then stayed with them up until just last September or October. And that's when I had to deal with all this, at home, the kids, the COVID hit. And, being a secretary for a chapter, where you got to constantly jot things down. And I was missing things. And it was like, listen, I can't really commit to this right now. I have to step down. I have to take, I've become a full-time teacher / dad, during COVID. I took a leave of absence from work. But I mean, through it all, it's never changed my perspective of this, the outlook and the overall picture of BV as a whole. I love it, man. I love it. I've made some great friends I consider family, people I've been dying to meet. You for one, finally got to meet you.
Yeah.
It's taken me overseas. Hell, I've been to Belarus twice. I never even been overseas for the military. My first time overseas was for BV.
Oh, geez, I didn't realize that.
You know what I'm saying? Like all my assignments have been stateside. Like, you hear 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year in the National Guard. I was always gone. It was like my last year of my enlistment when my son's like, Dad, this is the first time you've been home for my birthday. And I was like, good.
Oh, geez.
And that was 6 years. It took 6 years for me to be home for his actual birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. So and it was mostly because I was the only person at the time who held my my MOS, my job for my unit. So I constantly had to leave, come back and teach it, to my section. So it was a pain though. It was a pain. And it was like, man, could you imagine if this was full time? And I co-parent, so it's like that was hard. I'm already missing out so much.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome, man. I'm stoked. I'm stoked to hear that the bounce back from one place to the other and going back to home. I love that story. But
oh yeah,
you mentioned your the military when you were in the Army and your MOS being very specific. So can you talk for a second, because that's had a little bit of an effect now on your BV journey where it is now, because
oh yeah, no doubt.
you have a very specific patch and flag and logo that you've adopted that talks about that. So can you talk for a second about that? Because everybody that sees you knows that's radar. That's radar, man.
Yeah. So my whole so I kind of coined it under the radar. Everybody. So my radar name actually did come from MASH, and it came from the Army. The character MASH from MASH from radar from MASH. Sorry.
Yes.
Because that's kind of who I was. I messed around, I had fun, but I was real committed to everything I did. I handled what I could. I was trusted with so much. I mean, more than I should have been at the time, but it was because I was reliable, dependable, punctual, the whole nine. So my flag, for those who have seen it, and I'm sure everyone's seen it now, is my actual unit patch. I've had the keystone, the black keystone has been on my arm for damn near 8 years. That was my actual unit patch. And then under the radar is just me wanting to do good, give back, not necessarily want the attention or crave or, everybody's like, oh, you shouldn't videotape doing this, video the stuff that you do if it's charity. And I kind of get where they're coming from, but at the same time, you bring awareness to it. You might want to have more people do it if you show them what you're doing. It isn't that you're looking to brag about what you're recording. You're bringing awareness to it. And in order for it to be brought to awareness, someone needs to document it. So that's kind of what my whole under the radar thing is too. It kind of took a back seat because of the COVID and the kids but I try to put it out there as much as I can, and I'm trying to do something with it, especially in a city like Philadelphia where they constantly need help here.
Yeah. I love Under the
There's so
Radar,
much you can
man.
do here.
I love that, Under the Radar. But you brought up a really good point, and it's something that I've talked about here on the podcast several times. And it seems like it's, 2 or 3 times at least. It seems like it's 2 or 3 times a month. I'm talking to somebody about it because I'm trying to encourage people, just like you say. We need to spread the word about what our brothers are doing, and get out there, take those
Yeah.
photos. You can still
Oh yeah.
be respectful, but find a
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
to take these videos, these photos, to let people know what the Bearded Villains are about. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can do that in a in a way that it's not like you're trying to brag about it, but
Yeah. Exactly.
it honestly gives other people and other chapters ideas.
Yeah.
Hey, they
Yeah.
look what they're doing over there. And okay, especially, and one of the things I think it's a great point to point out right now is that this time of year we're still under pandemic restrictions some places.
Oh yeah. I
And
mean, we're one of
yeah,
them.
and seeing
Yeah.
what some chapters are able to do even under restrictions. You may not think there's anything that you can do, but you realize, wait a minute, we could probably do what these guys are doing over here. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool, and it doesn't take much for us to do that. And you
Yeah.
take it from that scale, and then you could go all the way to something huge,
Hmm.
and just by sharing the videos and the photos of what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't necessarily have to ride someone's, coattail or piggyback off of someone's actual thing. There's many guys in BV who do their own thing. That's not a BV thing.
Yes.
But you have the community to share it. So then you help each other and you share it. And you can. I mean, we got guys who pack backpacks all year. And give them away for school, and that's not a BV thing. That's something he does on his own. We got a guy who works for autism. I mean, everybody knows that there's a cause that needs help everywhere. And it's like I say, like, you get people who look down on people for recording you giving, you helping back. And I think they take that the wrong way sometimes because no one wants the recognition. We want to bring the awareness to people. It's like, hey, you can do this too. Hey, what part of your city needs help? Hey, what part of where you are, or it's not for bragging rights. And I hate when people say that because it's not like, oh, this is me feeding someone, like something like that. I get it, because it also, sometimes the people are vulnerable to that too. Some people don't want to be recorded, so you also have to respect them.
Sure.
But as long as it's consistent, professional, respectful, I mean, like I said, if you don't document what you're doing, no one's going to know, and no one's going to want to do more with it. So.
Yeah, that's very well said. And to that end, I think anybody that's ever been to an event where you've been there and where you've been there with your other half,
Hey.
I'm telling you what, I am, first of all, I don't know how you guys do it because as busy as your schedules are with home life, you guys still find a way to make it to so many different events as a couple. And I love seeing that.
Oh yeah, Nikki. Everybody, they know we're a package deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there are times where we're like, no, I can't go. You should go. No, you should go. I can't go. And then it's just like, well, let's see what we can move around, and we'll make it happen. But I love that she supports everything I support, and she was actually in this just as long as I was. Like we met during this,
Wow.
So I didn't have to. Drag her into it, or she didn't have to sell it to me. She was going through her whole queen process as I was going through my whole villain and hopeful process. And we met, the first time I ever saw her was at Richmond, East Coast, 2018, but I didn't know her. I just knew who she was. I saw her, and then a year later, hey, it just, it just happened. I make the joke all the time. She slid in my DMs, which was true, but but together, what we've accomplished and what we've done, and people think we've been together for so long now. We've probably been together maybe just a little over a year and a half.
Yeah, I would
and
not have
we
believed that
love
for a second.
Yeah, we love this. I mean, that's my rock right there, man. Like she holds it down for me, I hold it down for her, and we make everything happen. And the good thing for me, like I said earlier, is while I do co-parent, my son's mother, like we have a great relationship. There's no bitterness, there's no anything. So we have a great relationship. We co-parent very well, So if I have to be away, she'll take them. If she has to be away, I'll take them. We don't. There's no arrangement. Like this isn't a weekend thing, or I have them almost all the time now. But
Yeah.
that's because of school. So
Yeah, I just want to say, it's amazing, and kudos to you for you and Nikki, because it's crazy to see the heart, and
yeah.
this show is the heart of a villain, and
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah. No
think
doubt.
I think it's so cool when you can truly see two people like yourselves who go to these events, and even though there's things to take care of at home,
Oh yeah. No doubt.
there's
No doubt.
that you guys seem to. I mean, I'll just say it. My wife would freaking kill me if I opened up my wallets like you guys do on a daily on a daily at these events. Man, it just kills me. I'm just like, did they just bought that for what? They just
Yeah.
and it's like, and I know the reasoning, and I know it's just so awesome to see, because in many cases it may not be something that you're going to keep long term.
Yeah.
You're
No.
just
No
going to
doubt.
pass it on somewhere else. But I mean,
Yeah.
just I don't know. I'm in awe.
I
I'm in
mean,
awe.
I think the good thing for us is that we plan accordingly. We also plan ahead of time. A lot of these meets, we have a year's notice. We have 9 months notice, 6 months notice. So we kind of time which ones we can physically make it to, and we'll crank out as much work as we can to save up for these. Don't get me wrong, we're always saving, but we always put something away for these trips. So it isn't like we're just spending random money. It's like this is what we're working with. And plus, like we have, between a military discount, between, point systems on cards and stuff. Sometimes we get, rooms comped, or we get discounts. So it's like it's a lot of planning, and we really don't spend as much as you think sometimes. Now, if it's for like auctions, and stuff like that, yeah, we do, because we know where it's going.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Evansville was one of her
Oh,
biggest purchase. I mean, I saw her walking towards that patch, and I'm like, she got that. There's no telling her no.
yeah. That was one
Yeah,
specifically that I looked at, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. And
yeah, and she looked back at me, and I'm like, you got it. Yeah.
yeah, just
But we also
amazing.
do the same in auctions too. Like, when people are needing help in auctions, and patches are being sold, or just any kind of merch is being sold. A lot of times we're like, just keep it or throw it back in the auction. Or me in particular, I tend to like, if the number that the end total is a weird number, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, round it up to this nearest
you
hundred
do.
or whatever. And that's just, it's just because we give back. It's just what we do. We are, Nikki has her own thing here in real life. We're like, I think it was like every Monday, every Friday, if she's like at a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through, she'll purchase the person's coffee in front of her, or
Yeah,
behind her. Sorry, you know.
yeah.
So
You
it's
hear
just what we
stories.
do.
You hear stories about people doing that, and I laugh because that had never happened to me before, and
Yeah,
it's funny that you say that, because just yesterday I was in line at a
yeah,
Dunkin', and all of a sudden I go up there, I'm ready to pay, and I think it was like, I mean, I was getting my kids some donuts and drinks and stuff, and I was probably
yeah,
10 or 12 bucks or something, and I rolled up, and she's like, I was taken care of by the person in front of you, and I was like, wow, so this is what this feels like.
yeah.
And
It
so,
happened. It happened. Yeah, and
and
we live for that. The random acts of kindness.
yeah,
It's a good feeling.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and I had to say, okay, this is my first interaction with this. How much is the person's order behind it? Oh, don't worry about it. I'll take care
yeah,
of it. And she's like, oh,
yeah,
that's so nice. And I said, wait a minute. What about the person behind him? And
yeah.
she's like, oh, it's about, $6, $7 or $8. And I said, take care of that one too. What the heck?
Just throw it on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And,
Exactly. And it feels good. It's
oh
rewarding. You
man.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and what was
Yeah.
funny was she actually got teary. The lady working the
Oh
counter,
yeah.
she was teary eyed because of something
Yeah.
like that. And you can make, it's so fun to make people's day like that, man.
It is.
It's
It is.
awesome.
And you never know. They might be having a shit day, and that free coffee might have just made them think
Yeah.
better of people.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well,
So
and you probably know, like I do, if you've ever worked a fast food or drive through type of a thing, it seems like anybody that is 30-ish years or older at one
yeah,
time had to do that. And, you know, those jobs sometimes are, um,
they're
they don't,
demanding.
they're demanding, and they don't leave you with a very
Yeah.
fulfilling feeling. And
Oh
sometimes
yeah. No, no
working that
doubt.
drive through, you come across some really short tempered people. And
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
you make people's day, man. It's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, any job where hospitality is needed, yeah, you're gonna deal with
Yeah.
you're off and on group of people.
Yeah. So that's definitely something I want to keep going to, and just because
Oh
that
yeah.
just feels so good. But
Hmm.
yeah, I did want to take a second out and say, and just recognize your efforts in the charity aspect, because it's, I think your approach to it is unique, and I
Yeah.
love it because, like you said, it's really cool to see that it's when you plan for these events to go to,
Yeah.
you don't just plan for the event and then you think ahead. Oh, there's probably going to be a silent auction here. Or there's going to be an auction here, and
Yeah.
we need to prepare for that. And so we're going to roll X number of dollars in whatever we can do
Oh yeah.
as part of our weekend expenses. And I
Yeah.
think if all of us take that approach, if it's possible it's not possible for everybody. I understand that,
Yeah. No.
but
I get
it's
that too.
it's an organized thought process that you have.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if you just show up, so many times it seems like I've shown up to these things, and I know there's probably going to be an auction or something like that. You go and then I look around and I'm like, crap, I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't prepare. I'd really like to have that. I really like to donate the
Yeah.
money, but yeah, if I would have saved up for it. So
Yeah.
I like
Exactly.
that you guys think way ahead, and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that's
You have to. I mean, we
very
can't
cool.
just start throwing money that we might not be able to spend, recklessly. So, a lot of times we're on a budget. A lot of times, like if we know what we're there for, or if the cause is something near and dear, I think that's what gets us too.
Yeah,
Granted, a lot of things, a lot of the charities are, veteran based or veteran hosted, or which is, of course, clearly,
sure.
we're all for it.
Yeah,
But sometimes some of the causes and charities, they're a lot more, closer to our hearts than we anticipate sometimes. So we're just like, you know what, whatever, we'll make up for it when we get back home. Like, this is going to a good cause for a good reason, and people need this. So,
yeah.
you know, you know, but
Well,
we definitely plan ahead.
yeah. Well, it's awesome. It's awesome to see. Um, I want to talk for a second, if you can, about being a stay-at-home dad that is so involved and does the dad life, does the teaching and everything. Because you would probably, if somebody were to ask you a couple years ago, that's not where you saw things, was it?
Yeah, no, not at all. I so it is bittersweet. I'm gonna put that out there first. Like I said, for those that don't know, I had to take a leave from work to be here because in a city like Philly, there's just so many people, so many kids. Right now the schools, 53 schools opened up this Monday, but neither one of them were my sons. More
Ugh,
schools will open up next Monday, but they won't be my sons either. They go to charter schools, which isn't quite public school. Um, so it's been hard and it is stressful. I get it. There are people who are older parents. Luckily for me, I'm kind of a tech savvy guy and I love to learn and I love to read. Um, and I'm prepared for it. We have 3, 4 computers in the house. I have a MacBook that I sit right there with them. We have phones. We have the whole nine. We have Alexa spread out throughout the whole damn house. So there isn't a question we can't have an answer to at all times. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, love that.
So, but for people, like I said, the older parents who are struggling with this, parents who aren't tech savvy, parents who only speak Spanish or any other language that isn't immediately English, it's been rough, and it's been hard. It's been stressful. And then on top of that, as a parent, like my youngest who can't sit still to save his life, you have to like kind of yell at him like, hey, focus, focus, focus. But at the same time, he's spending 8 hours, sometimes more, because it just the energy it takes to even concentrate is hell. And I don't want my son staring at a screen all day.
No.
But they don't have a choice, and it sucks. It sucks. So which is why, I'll post like the pictures of them playing like Just Dance or kids yoga because I want them to be active throughout their day.
Mm.
Their breaks and be stay in the same chair, have lunch, and get ready to do it all over again. I'm like sliding them snacks on the side and food. And I'm like, all right, your lunch is over. Let's go shake it out. Let's dance it out or exercise or something because they're gonna have back problems. They're gonna have hunches. They're gonna, have vision problems. Like
Yeah.
these are things I think of as a parent, and it pisses me off sometimes. And then you have your teachers sometimes who are like, oh, it's what we did in the army. As far as like, so I was in combo. So you always blame the distant end, right? Always say it's their fault.
Yeah.
They'll try, and it's like, lady, I promise you, I'm literally having a video conversation with you with no glitches. It is not my internet. Like, you can't tell me I'm having the hiccups when we're having a clear stream right here. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's not me, it's y'all. Um, but they were also so unprepared for this, because they had the whole summer to kind of work it out, but they didn't. So like the first 2-3 months of virtual learning was hell. It was stressful. It's all finger pointing. Teachers are blaming us, we're blaming teachers. And it's like, listen, I will come down to that school and tell you it's your fault because I
Yeah.
know it's your fault.
Right.
Yeah, and then you take opportunities like this, like to sit outside. Like when you said you were gonna call me, I was like, I will totally sit outside
Yeah.
for however long because it's been a rough week.
Uh-huh.
And like sometimes when they're left alone, like right now, I have both my kids at one table because at one point my oldest was up in his room playing around instead of being in his class. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna bring your ass downstairs too. I tried. Like I tried.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, but it is hard. It's stressful. But on the sweet side is this is the most I've ever been home. Um, I've learned to cook, more. I've learned to do things at the house, get projects done. I learned about stocks. I learned about photography. I learned, I took time to also capitalize on things I've had interests in by being home. You know, this is the most time I've had around my kids. The most, because I was either in the army or the hospital for like the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is the most consistent my schedule has been in years, and I'm embracing every bit of it. It's the most I've had my kids to myself. I love it, but they can be a pain in my ass too. Everyone loves their kids until you got to spend 24 hours a day with them.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
um but no, it definitely has been bittersweet. It's been hard. I feel like if I wasn't willing to adapt to everything and learn everything because of them and for them, I probably would have been a lot more stressed out. But because I'm not one to give up on them, I push myself just as hard as I push them. So it
Yeah.
works out in the end.
Yeah. I think um I'm just extremely impressed because I've lived a little bit of that myself, being a stay-at-home dad since I retired. And it's
Yeah.
almost 4 years now, and
Oh, nice.
but the stay-at-home now with all of the and of course the one that I'm having to stay home with is I don't have nearly the handful that you do with multiple children, but
Yeah.
um, with mine it's a 6-year-old, so I'm very limited on what is required of me and
Oh, yeah.
to do that. But I I, I was very encouraged by the posts that I would see from you, looking
Yeah.
through and the several months ago you did a story or you did a live or a reel or something on IG where you basically got out there and just spoke heart to heart with everybody that was there to listen and talked about the
Oh, yeah.
struggles, talked about this isn't
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
This is not only a struggle for me, but these are struggles for our kids and something that we have to pay attention to
Oh, yeah.
because this is a very real side note to this epidemic.
Hmm.
So I wanted to take a second to say thank you for that message that you spread and talking about another one of those difficult topics that's difficult and
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
hard to understand.
Yeah. It is hard, and like I said, I get it. It's me, and again, I learn everything I can. There are things I was unfamiliar with at the start, and programs and all kind of stuff that they were doing, and it's just like I knew I had to learn it because I couldn't get mad at them. This wasn't their fault. But when I felt myself being angry or just upset, I would take a step out of the room and be like, all right, I can't be mad at my kids. This isn't their fault. I can't be mad at all this. This has to happen whether we like it or not. And we have to just push through it. It sucks, but we have to push through it. There have times where I have been super frustrated, and I mean to the point where I've had to like just walk away and be like, "Y'all got to give me a second. Like, y'all just have to give me a second." Um, so I know it's hard for people who don't even have the patience for stuff like this. People lose their patience for not understanding something. So I can totally get how much harder this could be for some people. You know, and it's hard on my kids sometimes too because it's like they don't have any control over what's being broadcasted through their screens sometimes. So it's like, what do I do? It's just like, listen, we'll figure it out. I'll talk to your teacher, send them an email, whatever. Um, but it definitely has been a challenge. It has been super hard, and I feel like you have parents who don't know where to reach out to, or who don't. I've had a ton of parents hit me up in my, my DMs and be like, "Yo, I'm glad you're being vocal about it
Hmm.
because I don't know what to do sometimes." And it's just like, listen, I'm cool, calm, and collected everywhere I go, but this has pushed me a lot.
Yeah.
This has definitely pushed me. Hell, I'm just like, I work at a trauma hospital. I've been away. I've had gear and a Humvee. You know what I mean? Like, I've been through the army, and this is up there. It's up there.
Yeah.
And you can't always get used to it because it always changes. So
Yeah.
you have to be able to adapt, and that's hard.
It is. It is. But I commend you because I think it's you're being a great example of pushing through, persevering, and seeing the struggle that's there, but saying this is only part of our issue. We're going to be able to push through this.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's a great
yeah.
example for you. It's a great example for your kids and for everybody else that follows you on Instagram that might be kind of in that struggle mode where they say this is just a
It's
very
hard.
difficult time
Yeah,
for us all. So
yeah.
and one of the other things that I love of looking through the different posts that you specifically I love to watch when you post is that all the interaction that you do have and that you do share with the family and especially the kids.
Oh
um,
yeah,
I
yeah.
like that the posts that you share when you're teaching, not necessarily teaching schoolwork, but teaching them other skills, other tangible things that
Oh
will
yeah.
improve their quality of life down the road. I
Yeah,
love
you,
seeing
you
that,
have
man.
to. You have to. You gotta. Like I said, you have parents. Like I said, everyone loves their kid, and I get it. They're your kids a lot. But I love having my kids. I love being with my kids. I love experiencing things with my kids. My parents growing up, all they ever did was work, so I couldn't really depend on my parents for a lot. I mean, they were there. I was fortunate enough to have two parents. I had my dad in my life. The whole nine. Um, but work and the grind was 90% of their lives. So like if I had to learn anything from school or retain it, I really had to be on it. I couldn't come to my parents for any of my academics at all. And then on top of that, I've been on my own since I was 16. So I left home at 16. So like I just had to retain it. Luckily for them, I still love to learn. I still love to read. It's a pain in the ass for them sometimes because I push this onto them. Like this is so important to me that I refuse to let you fail.
Mm,
And I'll be damned if
yeah,
you do.
I love that.
You know.
That's good.
But I am just so committed, to my kids' lives, man. And I try to get them outside. I try to get them to do things. They have more tech stuff to look forward to than we did growing up. So we were always outside. My
Hmm.
curfew was the lights.
Yeah,
Once it got dark, all right, I had to take my ass home.
exactly.
With them, it's like go outside. All right, let me take my games or my phone or I'm like, no,
Yeah,
go get dirty, go
yeah,
play, go
exactly.
physically do something.
Right. Yeah. It's funny you say that because there was every once in a while you see somebody post something on either Facebook or Instagram that's a very nostalgic, remember when type of a post, and
Oh yeah,
there was one that actually felt like a dagger hit me when somebody posted, that it was one of these kind of a nostalgic, no picture or anything, but it just said,
yeah.
at some point in your life growing up, there was a day when you were playing outside with your friends for the very last time
Oh
and
yeah,
and you never
always.
and you never knew it.
Yeah. Oh
And
my
it's
God, I
like,
relate to that.
oh, such a gut punch, man. Such a gut
Yeah,
punch.
I relate to that so much. We moved around so much, man. I thought my parents were on the run. I thought we were gypsies. I mean, hell, I've been to 14 schools in my life. And that was up until high school. From Florida, North Carolina, Philly. It was always Philly, but we just moved so damn much. So it was like, hey, and back then it was just like, hey, if I don't get your address, you ain't hearing from me. There's no text messages, none of
Yeah.
this shit. Like,
Oh yeah.
we had landlines. Hell, I can't remember phone numbers now. You think I was gonna remember phone numbers then? Shit. If I lose my
Exactly.
phone, I'd only be able to call the cops.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So a lot has changed, and I'm glad that all their friends are within a push of a button away, and stuff like that. It's been hard. It's been challenging. We've had kids here, but you have kids that aren't as lucky to be able to go out because they have health issues and stuff like that. So their parents don't want them surrounded by their kids, and I totally get it. I totally
Yeah.
get it. But I make the best out of my kid's situation as much as I possibly can, man, because I know this sucks for them too, and then me being how I am and who I am sometimes, video games don't start here till after 12 o'clock. I don't care if you got out of school early. You're not going to be on your video games all day.
I
And
like
if it's
that.
after school, it's still 3 o'clock.
I like that.
You are
like
going to
that.
socialize with me. We're going to hang out, and dinner is at the table. All right, you ain't eating in the living room. We're eating dinner at the table.
You're putting me to shame here because some of those the dinner thing sometimes I fail on badly, but
Shit. We
it's
have our nights.
I love though that I think one of the reasons why finding a parent that acts in the manner that you do and that pridefully speaks about the time they're spending with their kids, that is excited about that opportunity, looks forward to it, and looks forward to sharing it. I think one of the reasons why that seems that I make sure I point that out, or that I mention it, or congratulate people or thank people for doing that, is because of my prior work in law enforcement and not seeing that for so many years. Often seeing parents that almost looked at their kids as a burden. I'll see them in passing, but I would rather do my thing, and eventually I'll give you a couple minutes out of my day. And I saw that so often. And so it's so refreshing to see when I do see the parents that look forward to all the time that they can spending the time with their kids, man.
Yeah, like I said, this is something I haven't had in so long, so I'm definitely embracing it now. And I have to, you know, work and everything might pick back up again. School might pick up all over again, and they're gonna be out of my life daily for half the day. So I don't have to squeeze in all that time into 4 or 5 hours before bedtime. You know what I mean? Like I have the whole day. I get to learn their friends, their favorite colors, their ticks, and if you, like you said, you follow my post, this isn't a highlight reel. I tell the world when they're assholes too.
Yeah, you do.
Little shits.
Yeah, you
This
do.
isn't all gold and glitter. This isn't one of those my kids are the best.
Yeah,
24/7. No, they're not.
It's raw and unfiltered.
Exactly.
It's a real life. I love that. That's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Well,
we have too many parents who are like, yeah, my kid's he's the greatest singer dancer ever in the world, and then he's a terrible little shit behind closed doors.
exactly.
Not mine. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, realistic.
Yes, it's all about realism. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this though. The last thing, one of the last things I wanted to ask you about was, because I know that you are a very inspirational person to other people, whether you know it or not, and maybe you have some kind of an idea of that.
I've been told I'm just myself. Let's put that out there. I don't try to do any more than I just normally do.
Oh no, you and that you're the furthest person from somebody that brags about that for sure. But I'm curious, what types of things do you see in life, in the different things that you come across, that inspire you?
I mean, I know that's pretty broad, but I mean, just happiness, man. Laughter. Like, life is too short to be so damn serious all the time, man. Like, people need to learn how to look up more. People need to learn how to just enjoy each other's company. People need to learn how to not judge everyone all the damn time. Simple things. I mean, sometimes it's the most simplest thing, I'm a very social person. I talk to everybody. I talk to people I know don't like me, but I'm not going to let that ruin my day. Your issue with me is your own. Much love and respect to you either way. I hope your day is great. I hope your family's healthy. I just feel like we just need more positive thoughts about just your day-to-day conversations, your day-to-day interactions. Like, my inspiration definitely comes from my kids. I ran the streets as a kid. My younger days, I was all over the place. I'm at an age where my legacy or my influence needs to be a better one for my kids. So I constantly look at them as to how are they going to mirror me when they get older. I don't want them going, yeah, my dad was great, but he had his own shitty moments.
Yeah.
I want them to say nothing but great things about me, and I don't do it because of that. I do that because I also want them to be great when they get older.
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. Well, Radar, man, I thank you so much for having some time for me today. Talked a little bit about your story, and
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you again here soon. I think I know there's a few events coming up down the pike here that I should be seeing you at. So,
Oh yeah, no doubt. You know you're gonna see us. You're gonna see us. Yeah, you're gonna see us.
there's a few things that are pretty much guaranteed for larger events, and that's one of them.
Oh
so.
yeah, for sure.
For sure, man. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for taking some time with me. Thanks for coming outside so I could actually hear some of the outside and the birds and everything.
Yeah, right.
I love that. It's been one of the most relaxing interviews I've had so far. So
yeah, I had to take advantage. It's nice outside, and I'm out of their faces for a little while. I'm sure they're in there doing whatever the hell you want right now until I walk back in.
Okay, I'll let you get back in there and crack the whip, man. All right,
yes,
thanks so much. I will talk to you later, buddy.
Hey, appreciate you. Yes,
all
sir.
Right, see you.
Peace.
Okay, guys. That was my awesome interview I had with Radar. Now, I want to tell everybody, if you would please go out and listen to the actual full part of the full broadcast of the podcast in audio form. You can get any of that stuff at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com, or any major podcast platform is where you can get all of the previous 73 and this one, the actual podcast episodes. If you're not subscribed, it doesn't cost anything. Go out there. It's going to charge your day through. It's going to inspire you. The stories that I'm able to talk to some of these guys about, it's incredible. So get out there, find The Heart of a Villain, subscribe to the podcast, please, and just listen to some of the great things that the Bearded Villain community is out there doing. Thank you guys so much for taking a few minutes out to watch this live stream of the video, my interview with Radar. That was the video that broke episode 74 in the live stream podcast platform. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night. As I always say, remember, it's okay not to be okay. Remember, the heart of a villain never stops beating. Take care, guys.